Earlier this week, the Disney stock was dropping. So what is Disney to do? How can the mouse stop? What was a collapse in the house? Well, Bob Iger has come out and said that he is personally offended, or at least that has leaked out online, that he's offended by the WGA, the strikes going on there. And that was not enough, though. They needed something that would jolt the stocks, keep them from dropping any further. And so we now suspect that somebody over at Disney decided it was a good idea to leak details of a very long in the coming ESPN contract, potentially with Amazon. Folks, welcome back to another video where we explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. It is our job here on the WDW Pro channel, and we love our job. We hope you love it as well. If you do, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Folks, we are going to be way out there in speculation territory today. That doesn't mean that we're not bringing you the truth as we see it. It simply means that it is as we see it, because we have things to discuss today in terms of business strategy. Joining me to talk about what's going on with Disney is Fat Steven, the acclaimed game streamer and the fantastic artist behind everything you see here on this channel, Valiant Renegades channel, and beyond. Steven, welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me. Hope you're having a great day.
Yes, and we hope all of you out there are as well. Steven, it's been far too long, and I cannot wait to get your thoughts and analysis on this situation. Folks, what you're looking at, of course, is the stock over the last 5 days for the Walt Disney Company. Currently, this thing is sitting somewhere around a 9-year low. That is not good, and that's made Bob Iger unhappy. You see, he was supposed to be the mouse messiah, come in and save this company, stabilize it after the flawed performance of Bob Chapek, supposedly. But that is not going in the right direction. Now, we need to say, folks, that one thing to note is that the entertainment sector yesterday took a beating. But the problem is that Disney, well, they needed to not take such a beating because Disney was already on a downward trend. Another thing that I think is interesting today, although we are not giving you any kind of financial advice, so please don't take financial advice from us. Seek out your own financial advisor who is credible, credited, and in whom you can trust. But if you'll take a look at this, over here to the right, you're going to see some similar stocks. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, they're all up today. And Disney, well, it's just kind of hovering around its low that we were at. So not good for Disney, but what is going on behind the scenes? Well, let's take a look at this. This is a comment from Discussing Film. I don't know if you call these tweets anymore. A post on X from Discussing Film. It says, Bob Iger, who earns $25 million plus annually, is reportedly personally offended the WGA didn't agree to AMPTP's latest offer that doesn't provide them proper fair pay and conditions. Now, that is an editorialized statement. We're not agreeing or disagreeing with that statement, but we are reporting on the fact that Bob Iger seems to be annoyed. Writers are asking for 0.18% average of a studio's annual revenue. Now, that's not a small deal, although it's presented that way here. And the source is allyourscreens.com. Steven, what do you make of the fact that Bob Iger came in and was supposed to be this tremendous person, the king of charisma? Everybody loved him, and now the writers and the actors hate his guts because they're revealing how much he makes and how little in comparison they do. What do you make of it?
I think Bob came back, but his charm did not. And now I think it's like the Emperor's New Clothes, where you're starting to see with all the shimmer gone, this is his true colors. And no one's putting up with it, especially the writers and the actors. They just want some type of fair play that can balance out both the studios and them. And he just refuses to give it. And now that his income comes out, it's just showing even more that there's definitely a deterioration between them and him. And it's not easy to just try and work something out, but it seems like it's rather easier to be annoyed than just go, let's sit at the table again and try something else.
Steven, I could not distill what is happening at Disney any better than you just did. Folks out there, write this down. If you're taking notes here in the class of Disney and entertainment, take this down, jot this down. Bob came back, but the charm did not. That is perfectly said, Steven. Well done.
Thank you.
Steven, one of the things I think is annoying these studios, perhaps, is something that we have been reporting on, and we're going to continue to report on into the future. We brought out a video, huge video, exposing that the WGA, that's the Writers Guild, does not have a chief financial officer. In fact, they are looking for someone who could be their CFO. And at the same time, they have legal counsel that is exiting, that is part of a separate firm. There is a job opening actually right now for general counsel. And we are actually diving into that more and more. We've got a ton of information coming to us from sources who are explaining to us sort of what is going on behind the scenes. It is intriguing. So we can't wait to bring more of that out. But Stephen, I think the studios are annoyed because they don't feel that the WGA is bringing the A tier when it comes to negotiations to the studios. And so the studios are just sitting there with nothing really to work with. Both sides are in an impasse because, there's not any kind of realism being put on the table. So I think that's partly why Bob is annoyed, but it's not being played that way out publicly, of course. So, Stephen, if a company then has their stock dropping, and part of the reason for their stock dropping is coming from an outside force which they have no control over, and which seems to be to some degree incompetent, although we're not saying that writers in general are incompetent, we're just saying the leadership seems to be right now. One of the things you can do is you can float an idea out there that might stabilize your stock momentarily. You know what I'm talking about here, Stephen?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's pretty much like, hey, look over here because I'm tired of being annoyed about this over here. So they just
That's right.
Throw something out there to feed the wolves.
And full disclosure, folks, we don't know who leaked this information, but it had to be somebody from either inside Amazon or Disney because, well, those would be the two parties who know anything about this. So one side seems to have spilled the beans. Now, let's find out what that means. From Reuters, and this is from yesterday, right as the bell was ringing, or well, an hour or so after the bell was ringing, right as the Pro Show was ending. Amazon in talks with Disney about ESPN streaming partnership and the information. So, folks, if you were watching the Pro Show, as is often the case, news seems to break during the show, and we were juggling big time behind the scenes what to do, and we just decided we couldn't cover this yesterday. This was breaking as we were ending the show. But here's what it says. Amazon.com is in early talks with Walt Disney Company about working on the streaming version of ESPN, and it's developing while possibly also taking a minority stake in the sports network. The information reported on Thursday, citing people familiar with the matter. Disney and ESPN are still in the midst of determining an appropriate price for the new service, the report said. ESPN is considering charging between $20 and $35 a month for the new streaming service, which could make it the most expensive streaming service in the U.S., the report added. Amazon.com, Walt Disney, and ESPN did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment. In July, Disney CEO Bob Iger told CNBC that his company wants to keep ESPN and look for strategic partners to form a joint venture or buy a stake in the sports network to help take it directly to consumers. Now, Stephen, there's some things here that we need to say. First of all, we're talking about something that is not yet certain. This is early. How early is it? Well, folks, we suspect that this may be 4 years away. And so we're not sure that anything in this report, this leak, is concrete at all. We're not even sure that it's going to happen, although we're not saying that it won't. Stephen, I suspect, although, perhaps this is just a very tremendous coincidence that as Disney stock crashes, this comes out. Could be a coincidence, but I wonder if this was not put out there, way out in the future, but presented at the time when Disney needs to kind of stop that stock from crashing any further. Your thoughts?
I do have a question on this as well. Could this also be leaked also towards the WGA and the SAG strike that's going on too, as kind of like a bartering trip to say, hey, might be happening, and that means we might have more funds for you in the future. It might be kind of used as like, when you're baiting someone into a deal.
Well, it could be, Stephen. The other way you might look at this, if you come at it from the angle of what would this do to the WGA and to SAG-AFTRA, is this could be used to say, hey, sports is way bigger than you, and we can ride this out. We can ride live sports. We do not need, written content by writers, performed by actors. We don't need sitcoms. We don't need murder mysteries. We can run with live sports. We can run with improv. We can run with, reality TV. We don't need you guys. Now, I don't know if that's particularly what it is, but you're exactly right. This could be a two birds, one stone situation.
Could it also be the point that they could use it as a promising tool? Saying, hey, this is our deal coming down the line. If it gets finalized, we can use those funds to help pay you guys more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's many options to this. It also seems like it wants to solidify the stock too, because they've been on a downward spiral for quite a bit now, and it's just not feasible. They need something to hold them up, and they don't have much holding them up anymore.
Here's the really interesting thing, I think, Stephen. Yeah. I believe that if this was leaked, notice we're saying if, that if this potential deal between Amazon and ESPN was leaked, I believe it was to try to jolt the stock upwards. That has not happened. The other stocks in this same sector they seem to have, went up. Disney at best has plateaued from where they crashed into. And the day is not done. At the time of this recording, it's hovering something like 30 cents above its low. We'll see what happens by the ringing of the bell. But it's amazing to me that you've got this deal where ESPN and sports represents a third of Disney, right? According to the way they've structured the company, it's a third of the company. And despite this major earth-shattering report, supposedly, nothing. I mean, it's not going up. At best, this has slowed the dive, and perhaps we'll see what happens by the end of the bell. But Stephen, are you at all surprised that this stock now is dropping and doesn't seem to respond to big news like this?
No, I'm not surprised in the slightest. And I'm going to say this as an assumption kind of point of view right here. It means that even their trump card, if we're looking at this as, let's say, poker, they're trying to like bluff, isn't holding their hand. The other poker players don't believe it. And I think with ESPN, it fits more on the normie side when it comes to consumers. And they're reaching the point of don't care. The only thing that's pretty much going to cause harm is maybe cable. So if this goes to streaming, you might get a bump. You might get your stock eventually. But if this is all based off, like you were saying, hypothetically, eventually. And I think a lot of people now are tired of eventually when it comes to Disney. They just want to see action. And that includes not only consumers, but the stockholders themselves. They want to see something better happen. And they're not seeing it. And the stock is showing it.
If it was leaked purposefully out of Disney, you have to say, though, that's as good as it gets in terms of trying to stop the bleeding. But folks, we don't know. I think the big takeaway from this video is that this information was put out there, of course, as the stock was collapsing, but it also has really has no meat on the bone here. We don't know any details. We don't know if any of this will come true. This is so far out there that it's pure speculation on the part of Disney or whoever leaked this. Now, if you would like a full analysis of what it would mean and exactly how this sort of a business transaction could even occur, we highly recommend checking out our good friend Valiant Renegade. His channel over there is covering this, and he went into great detail about how all of this could play out. We highly recommend it. Another thing that I recommend is, folks, if you've not yet subscribed to Stephen and his content, amazing stuff, great gaming content. And Stephen, you've been doing something on a different platform, and you have had tremendous success. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We're currently putting a lot more content on Rumble, trying to get that channel growing, and we take what we want from there and put it either on Twitch or YouTube and kind of balance all three platforms. It's been quite an endeavor and really fun. They've just changed.
You've had huge numbers, Stephen. I mean, your numbers are fantastic.
Yes, thank you. It's been very surprising the way I've been on YouTube for so long and now trying a different platform. It shows that there's other people out there on different platforms, and I'm very honored that it's happening.
Well, folks, get out there and support Stephen and what he's attempting to do. And don't forget that Stephen is also the man behind all of the art you see on That Park Place, Valiant Renegade, Renegade Online, and the WDW Pro channel. Stephen is a wunderkind when it comes to creating all of those amazing thumbnails and graphic assets. Well, folks, if you wouldn't mind being an asset, we sure would love it. Consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. The conversation here has come to a close, but the commentary begins. Drop a comment down below. We cover your comments. We care about what you think. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so please don't leave this to just being a dialogue between two people, but rather may it grow into a discussion amongst all inside the community. As I foreshadowed, we will have more information coming out next week regarding the WGA and their legal representation of what is going on behind the scenes. We have been flooded with responses after that big expose. No one is doubting that they have no CFO, but many are questioning exactly how things are playing out behind the scenes and what it means to have a general counsel versus not, and what counts, what doesn't, etc. We have tremendous stories that have come into us, and we will be revealing them next week as best we can as we go through the journalistic endeavor of corroborating so much of this stuff that we're receiving. So thank you to all who have provided it, and we will continue to endeavor to explain entertainment and keep all of you ahead of the culture curve. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing as we go into this beautiful weekend, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Oh,
What are you doing?
well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their, different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney, or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have thunk?